Information shared on the following program is for general information purposes only. It does not constitute legal, tax, investment, or other advice, nor is it intended to recommend any particular investments, products, or financial instruments. Always seek advice from your financial advisor, attorney, or accountant with regard to investment, legal, or tax questions.
Welcome to the only show in the country dedicated to helping savers worry less about money, the Worry-Free Retirement, with your host, nationally recognized retirement specialist and four-time author, Tony Walker.
It's called the Autobahn, which, simply stated, stands for Automobile Road. First constructed and opened to the public for their driving consumption in May of 1935, the Autobahn is famously known for its many stretches of roadway with, get this, no speed limits. In fact, all the way back to 1938, these stretches of the Autobahn Road, which now extends to some 8,000 miles, there was a famous German race car driver by the name of Rudolf, and I won't try to pronounce his last name, I'll take a stab at it, Gariccioli, and he was able to reach speeds of up to 268 miles per hour in his Mercedes-Benz W125 road wagon. And I thought reaching top speeds of 55 miles per hour on the Bluegrass Parkway in 1976 in my German-made VW Beetle was impressive. Of course, what the press wasn't allowed to share during Mr. Marcoli's high speeds were the innocent drivers who probably didn't get out of the way. You know, interesting thing in that is that this Autobahn, there are vast stretches of the roadway with actually no speed limits. Talking about a traffic dumpster fire, if we did that here in the United States, in fact, don't believe me, just take a few drives up and down I-65 to see what I mean. So how can this be? And what does driving safely at high speeds on the Autobahn and not having accidents on it have to do with enjoying your money on a safe basis? Well, I'm glad you asked. Well, welcome folks to the Worry-Free Retirement. And yes, I am that little man in the sweater vest, safe driving financial specialist and fiduciary, Tony Walker. Before we get started sharing with you how you and your money can be handled safely and enjoy that drive as you go to your destination called retirement, let me introduce to you in the Worry-Free studios with us, as always, America's favorite financial sidekick, Mr. Aaron Orander. Good morning, Aaron, on this August 9th, 2022. How are you doing?
Good morning, sir. I'm doing well. How about yourself?
Good, good. And, we've worked hard and feverishly trying to make a correlation between what we're talking about today, which is really Law and Order Part 2, and how financial laws and creating order in your life create something I like to call sleep insurance.
Sleep insurance!
But Aaron, I guess you probably did question me a little bit, and I know I asked you to do a lot of research on this Autobahn. What were your first thoughts when I said, Aaron, research this Autobahn and let's try to find out more about this history and this idea of, 65% of this 8,000 miles doesn't even have speed limits? I mean, what were your thoughts when we first entered into this? And then secondly, what did you discover as you researched about this unusual highway?
Yeah, so last week I started researching this. You had sent us kind of an idea, and I started researching it. And, I'll be perfectly honest. I thought that the Autobahn was a type of race. I thought it was like first thing I think of is like Cannonball Run. I thought it was like a race. But the more I researched, the more I, come to find out, like, no, it's actually an actual stretch of highway. And, there are speed limits on parts of it, but I was just blown away that there are some parts of it that don't have speed limits. That's amazing to me. I just can't imagine, being on 65 and being like, all right, from E-Town to Mumfordville, no speed limit. Like, that would just blow my mind if we just had streets like that.
Well, and I was going to say that's a good point. I think it is mind-boggling, but in your research, I thought the most interesting part of the research was they followed the statistics of wrecks on highways, and actually in the non-speed limit area of the Autobahn, there's fewer wrecks than in the speed limit areas. Didn't you think that was interesting? And why in your research, and we can bounce back and forth, why is this? Why is it that people driving at unusually fast speeds have fewer accidents on that highway than those that don't?
Well, one of the things I saw was just the strict rules and laws that they have. For example, the left lane is for passing only.
Ooh,
you better not be in that left lane and checking your phone and talking and having your coffee and everything else. The left lane is for go, go, go. So, I thought that was kind of interesting. It's like, yeah, they have laws punishable by prison time if you're in the left lane and not passing people and stuff. That was kind of interesting to me. I read a statistic that said the heaviest crash there was ever, it was something crazy. It was like a 254 car pileup.
Oh my gosh.
And miraculously, everyone survived. There was not a single casualty in that wreck.
Well, and another thing, researching that, some of the notes you provided me, I think what's interesting is how safety conscious, number one, so they're very safety conscious. I know the government inspects the roads regularly. They inspect the cars regularly. And this is the key point. This is, I think, the key point and where we fail in the United States. The people that get on that Autobahn, number one, they know the risk, but it becomes less risky because they're tested in their driving ability.
Right.
They understand
trained.
how to drive. In fact, I think they go through like 6 months of testing before they can get on the road. Is that your understanding?
Yeah.
I don't know. In 1976, that's when I got my driver's license. My granddad had given me his little 62 Volkswagen Beetle. I love that car. Wished I still had it, quite frankly. But anyway, you know what involved my testing back in 1976? To get a driver's license, Aaron, here's what I did. I drove down to downtown Bowling Green to the square right off there. You met a state trooper who was waiting for you. Now get this, he gets in my little 62 VW, which back then they didn't have seat belts. Now it wasn't a law, but he goes, because that's the first thing they always do in a driver's test. Put your seatbelt on.
Right.
And he's grappling around. I said, officer, this doesn't come with seatbelts. He goes, all right, just go on and drive. We literally drive around the block. Are you with me? I didn't even go out on the main roads or the highway. Drove around the block. And the part that everybody said, oh, you should be nervous about because you got to go up Hospital Hill and parallel park. And I aced it. And that was it. He gave me my driver's license.
That was it?
That was it. Do you remember your driver's license test?
Yes, I remember something similar. I had to go down here, obviously here in Louisville. Went down by Bon Air Airport. I know a lot of people listening probably, went to the same place. And I remember specifically we had to, do something similar, but it was in the parking lot. And I'll never forget, I went past a stop sign. Now, in my defense, the stop sign was covered by a bush, and I didn't see it until I was parallel with it.
Okay.
And what's really funny is I think I passed on account of I provided a great laugh to my instructor. I hit the brakes, so it kind of hurt, and I was already out in the middle of the four-way stop. I didn't really know what to do. I didn't know if I should keep going or whatever. So I just click, put my car in reverse, backed up to the stop sign, looked both ways, acted like it never happened, and just went on. And I'll never forget, my instructor just cracked up laughing. He thought that was the funniest thing, that I went back and just kind of acted like it didn't happen. But I passed.
So it's really interesting when you think about it. Okay, Tony, you're saying this is some wonderful stories, and I get it. But what does this idea of driving at high speeds on an Autobahn and keeping your money safe have to do with one another? This is going to be a really good show as we continue Financial Laws and Order equals Sleep Insurance Part 2. I'm Tony Walker. You're listening to The Worry-Free Retirement. We'll be right back. Are you nearing retirement, and does your employer offer you a pension? Do you realize that with interest rates going up, the value of your pension will be going down by as much as a 25% loss in value? Don't let this kind of money get away from you. Take action now before your lump sum pension loses value. Log on to TonyWalkerFinancial.com or give us a call at 877-499-9255. Welcome back to the Worry-Free Retirement. Tony Walker along with America's favorite financial sidekick, Mr. Aaron Norender. And as we think about this fundamental concept, the theme of our show, I know it wasn't really about Autobahns, it's really about law and order and safety and peace of mind, and also this idea that in order for a society to function in peace and tranquility, there must absolutely be law and order, just like there has to be strict laws and governance over a Autobahn parkway with 65% of its 8,000 miles with no speed limits. So how do we take financial laws that we at Tony Walker Financial are well aware of, create order in the lives of savers through our wonderful process called the Worry-Free Retirement, our proprietary software, our well-trained advisors, paid salaried fiduciaries, myself with 38 years of experience. How do we create this lovely and peaceful and tranquil thought of going to bed at night, waking up the next day and not worried that your 401k looks more like a 201k? Well, we call it
Sleep insurance.
So let's begin by an explanation of what are the laws of money. Now, last week, we talked about this idea of using an example of 3 different, we'll say, products, financial concepts, if you will, that hopefully will provide you sleep insurance. And what we found is last week that they don't. So let's do this. Let's summarize briefly, because I think this is really important. And in fact, even I was riding down the road the other day listening to the radio. We have more and more. I mean, it's all over the place, folks. I'm all over the state. I'm on, what is it, Aaron, 5 or 6 radio stations now? 7,
You're on 7,
TV,
I think.
7 and that many TV stations.
Yeah, that many TV.
So we hear from our consumers, our savers that come, our clients. I hear watching TV and on the radio a lot of what's going on. And as we record this radio show in August of 2022, folks, I agree. There's a lot of uncertainty out there. There's a lot of fear. There's a lot of angst. And what is happening is advertising on the radio and TV and the internet by annuity peddlers is getting out of control. Many of you ask me, you say, Tony, I keep hearing all these annuity peddlers talking about getting 15 and 20% bonuses and free money and getting our money back. And folks, that stuff you've got to be really careful of. Now, are those products sometimes legitimate? Well, of course they are. But you have to understand the financial laws created by the insurance companies producing those bonuses and what the catch is. There's a huge catch, by the way, and you better understand it. You have to then go over to the second option, which is many of you tossing all your money blindly in Wall Street. Aaron, I was thinking of this analogy. You know, to me, for a saver, we call this speculation. For a saver to jump in the car of somebody from Wall Street and head down the financial Audubon Parkway, that would probably be pretty scary, wouldn't it?
Right.
Have you ever been, by the way, have you ever been riding with anybody? I know I scare the heck out of people the way I drive. I can't help it. I just drive a certain way on the highway. But I mean, really and truly, you were scared riding along with them or going at a high speed. Has that ever happened to you?
Oh, man, I got to be honest. I've been in the car with you twice, and both times it's probably too many. I was a little scared. I got to be honest. I was a little scared.
You and about every other
I was a little scared. But I trusted you. I was like, he knows what he's doing. He knows what he's doing. He knows the laws.
And then, the most scared I've ever been, Aaron, I never forget, I was about 13 years old. My Uncle Eddie, I used to hang out with him all the time down in Troy, Kentucky. He had a Honda 350 motorcycle. Remember, this was in the mid-'70s or whatever. His buddy Danny Means had a chopper. Did you know what a chopper
Oh,
was?
yeah, I know what a chopper is.
So I said, Eddie, so we'll jump on the back, Tony. We'll take a quick drive. We rode down those country roads near Troy, and he gunned it going down this 2-lane road. I'm telling you, Aaron, I've never been so scared in my life, hanging on for dear life.
Yeah.
Kind of reminds me of the time me and my wife went on a trip to Bermuda. And in Bermuda, they have little tiny roads, and you drive on the left side, and you can rent these scooters. And you know the extent of the test for my scooter? The Bermudian lady, I guess that's the correct terminology, and her broke accent said, you got to get on that scooter and ride around that circle. So I rode around the scooter. Okay, you're good. She straps a helmet on me and Susan. Susan jumps on the back of this scooter. I take off, and I kid you not, Aaron, the first turn I make, I almost don't make it and go head on into a car.
Oof.
I get it somehow back on the road. I'm saying, what is going on here? Do it the same thing the next turn. I almost go over to the other lane. I mean, this is tight. Well, all of a sudden on the next turn, I look over. Instead of leaning with me, guess where Susan's leaning?
She's like, leaning
going
against
the
you.
opposite way.
Yep.
So I said,
No
Susan,
trust.
No trust.
No trust.
Scared to death. So folks, maybe that's you right now. Maybe you're sitting there and you're thinking, Tony, that was my second option. I've been throwing all this money in the stock market. Again, if you had money in the stock market, you know that you probably lost 20 to 30% this year. And yeah, will it come back? Yeah, of course it will eventually. But folks, this is a retirement planning show. This is not a show catered to people Aaron's age, 40 and 45-year-olds. This is a show for people who are retired or nearing retirement, who are savers, again, who don't like a lot of risk and like a lot of certainty, who want to go to bed at night and wake up the next morning and not have lost a bunch of money. So let's go to option 3, because again, this is worth repeating. So again, it doesn't mean we're going to suggest anybody listening to this show do one of these other options. I'm just saying, listen to these options real closely and tell me which one sounds better to you, and then we're probably going to need to talk. So option 1 is an annuity with a bonus that does not come with very high interest rates. In fact, on this one bonus product, we offer it, we don't sell it, but it's the same bonus product a lot of annuity peddlers are shooting for. It only guarantees up to 0.25% on a guaranteed worst case scenario basis. Not real good. It also, to get this bonus, 20% bonus, has a 0.95% annual fee. Okay, so they're going to ding you with fees. Also, if you get out of this annuity prior to the 10th year, listen closely, you will lose the entire 20% bonus. Is this sounding pretty good, Aaron? Or is it kind of, yeah, okay. Kind of getting worse as we go. Because we got to go to worst case scenario, folks, when you're doing retirement planning, because a lot of stuff can come up. Anyway, and then next, if you got out, let's say in the 10th year, Aaron, on this contract, not only would you lose the 20% bonus you thought you had, you would be charged an 8% penalty to get out.
Why is that?
It's just what the company charges.
It's just what they charge?
Yeah, it's the way the contract's written.
Okay.
See, most people don't understand the financial laws of how annuities work. So with any annuity, you have to understand it's a contract. And if you nor the agent understand the contract, let the buyer beware. It's a scary proposition. And I believe, Aaron, this is why annuities get a bad rap. They're missold. People don't understand them. Agents make huge commissions on these things. So, and we sell a lot of these same products. We make commissions. So the point is, if you're going to work with somebody and pay them a huge commission, if they don't tell you the pros and the cons, I would get a second opinion. So in this example, if we use worst case scenario, Aaron, if somebody put in $300,000 in the bonus annuity, at the end of 10 years, if they decide to surrender it, worst case scenario, they're only going to get back about $255,000. And this was supposed to be a safe investment. You with me so far?
They lost that much?
Oh,
That's
yeah.
a lot.
Oh, yeah. Worst case scenario, They would have lost that much if they bailed on it. So we go to the stock market. Well, you say, well, I'll put $300,000 there, Tony, and see what happens. Well, obviously, in the next 10 years, that's the whole problem. There is no way, under worst case scenario, we could ever dream of how bad it could be or how good it could be. So for a saver, that would be to speculate. Now, again, through our Charles Schwab platform, as fiduciaries, as registered investment advisors, we do, and we will, if you want us to, put money in our Charles Schwab platform. And yes, some of that money can be in the stock market or bond market and be at risk, but that's your call. But we will do that if you want us to, but you've got to remember, there's no certainty there. There's no safety, there's no security, and certainly with the stock market comes little to no sleep insurance. Now, here's the third option. Again, don't rush out and do this. You need to see us before you do any of these options, but now let's see if we can boil this down real simple, Aaron. The first option, which looked good on the surface because of a 20% bonus, has all kinds of hidden fees, all kinds of hidden risks, surrender charges, may or may not be the best option. Okay, questionable. You with me?
Okay.
Okay. Stock market, a saver who's worried about getting in the left lane on the Autobahn, maybe not experienced driver, is scared to ride behind Uncle Eddie on a motorcycle, probably doesn't need to put all their money in the stock market. Wouldn't you agree?
Sure.
Okay. What's this third option? Okay, this thing has been around for years. And now that interest rates have crept up, I'm telling you folks, it is so simple, it's almost ridiculous. It's called a multi-year guaranteed annuity. I call it a fixed interest annuity. Oh, by the way, folks, if you want to read the truth about annuities, both pros and cons, why don't you log on to our website at TonyWalkerFinancial.com. There's a download section. You want to download that and get our Annuities Made Easy booklet. My gosh, folks, this will tell you all the pros and cons. Everybody that's read this booklet, Aaron, says, finally, I understand what these darn things are. Okay. If you don't want to go on the internet and you don't want to download something on the internet, you can do this. Give us a call at 877-499-9255 and request Annuities Made Easy, and we will mail you free of charge, no obligation, a hard copy of it. Okay, so what's this third option? Well, I'll tell you what I'm going to do, Aaron. This is so good. Let's take a quick break. Let me get my notes back out, because last week we covered this and I forgot to cover the very end of the whole crux to the matter of this product. So when we come back, what is a product for the next 10 years that you don't have to get in the left-hand lane? You can stay in the right-hand lane where it's safe, drive a nice 55 or 60 miles per hour, and know for certain you're safely going to get to your destination in 10 years? I'm Tony Walker. You're listening to Worry Free Retirement. Stay tuned, and you're going to find out. Getting ready to roll over your 401k to an advisor you barely know? Are they just going to invest your money, or do they actually have experience in retirement planning? Well, here's my advice. Don't leave your retirement to chance. Get a written game plan from an experienced retirement planning firm that has created more than 5,000 written game plans. To get started, simply log on to TonyWalkerFinancial.com and click on that Let's Get Started button. With the uncertainty of the stock market, now may be the best time to consider moving your 401k to safer territory. To talk to me at no cost or obligation, simply log on to TonyWalkerFinancial.com.
Welcome back, everyone. I am America's favorite financial sidekick, Mr. Aaron Ornder, and I just wanted to remind you of a couple of things. First and foremost, if you're enjoying the radio show, but you tuned in late and you want to hear, the beginning of it, or if you just want to hear other radio shows, all you got to do, folks, is go to SoundCloud.com. That's SoundCloud.com, and right there in the search bar at the very top, just type in the Worry Free Retirement. Click search, and you're going to see our awesome bobblehead. Click on there, and you're going to find all of our past radio shows. Now, if you want to check out the TV show, but, you missed it, or you're working during the weekends or whatever, no problem. We got you covered there as well. All you got to do is go to YouTube.com. That's YouTube.com. And in that search bar, just type in Tony Walker Financial. Click search, and you'll see Tony's smiling face. Just click on there. You're going to find all types of video content. Okay, real quick, back to the show. Tony, I got in my hands here just a hodgepodge of just questions we get kind of regularly as far as, Tony in the Trenches questions. So I thought I'd just kind of read them off to you and get your thoughts.
Okay.
All right. Here's the first one. Tony, what do you think of Bitcoin? Tony, since the economy is so volatile, is now the time to buy gold? And Tony, here's the last one. Tony, with this being an election year, is now the time to buy more stocks? I mean, that's a handful of just hodgepodge random questions for you.
And I would say, if let's say Aaron, a saver, is asking any of those three questions, what they have done, they have climbed into a car with no experience. They have jumped on the Autobahn Parkway in Germany, and they've gotten in the left-hand lane, and they're probably going to get creamed. That's what I would say. That is called speculation. The late, great Benjamin Graham, in his wonderful book, it'd be a book I'd recommend everybody read, called The Intelligent Investor. I'm going to paraphrase this, Aaron, but basically he said this: if you invest in anything that you do not understand and that contains risk, you are not an investor, you are a speculator. And folks, we do not speculate with people's money. That's not what we're all about at Tony Walker Financial, nor do savers want to speculate with their hard-earned money. So if you're just now joining us, we're showing you three options. And again, in our time remaining, I'll summarize this. This is really important stuff that you might consider for some of your or all of your retirement money. Okay, the first option, real quickly, was a bonus annuity with a 20% bonus. We just covered that in the last segment. It is fraught with all kinds of penalties and losses and bonus takeaways. And it is not anything what it possibly is pitched to be when you assume what we call guaranteed worst case scenarios. Okay, so that may not be your best option. The second option, obviously, you could throw it all in the stock market. If you're a saver and you're putting all your money in the stock market, you're doing what Benjamin Graham said not to do. You have become a speculator. All right? Now, the third one is what's called a multi-year guaranteed annuity. Now, again, these rates will change all the time. So, by the way, Aaron, when will this show be on?
This show's going to be on September 29th.
Okay. So we're recording this show August 9th of 2022. Well, gosh, by the time this airs, these rates could change. So you want to call Tony Walker Financial if you want to check these updated rates. But here's the current rates now, and here's an option for you. Let's say you're 65. We're looking at this 10-year window of what could happen. So what if I told you, Aaron, you could take the same $300,000, instead of putting it in a bonus annuity and possibly losing a bunch of money down the road through penalties and charges and fees, instead of putting it in the stock market and speculating on what that might be in 10 years, what if I told you You could put that same money with an insurance company. That insurance company, by contract, is going to guarantee you 4% interest. Guaranteed, Aaron. They're going to guarantee your principal. Guaranteed. You won't lose your principal. And if you keep all that money there for 10 years, they'll even send you the interest monthly. If you want to take out $12,000 a year, they'll let you take it out. Okay, that was the other instance. I'm sorry. Yeah, in that example, I forgot. I was imagining that for each of these different ideas, the bonus annuity, the stock market, and the MIGA, we're taking out $1,000 a month. I forgot that. So yeah, let's review that because that was important. If I put it in the bonus annuity, $300,000, I got a $60,000 bonus, took out $12,000 a year. Worst case scenario on what it would make with the fees, and I surrender it in 10 years. Basically, I'm down to $255,000. Worst case scenario with Wall Street, I put it on the stock market, take out $12,000 a year in 10 years. Who the heck knows? It could be worth $1 million or you could be dead broke. Now we're going to put it in a fixed interest annuity, paying 4% guaranteed. The company is going to send you $1,000 a month, guaranteed for 10 years, guaranteed, okay? And then here's the kicker, Aaron. Here's where you want to stay in the right-hand lane, folks. At the end of the 10 years, you surrender the contract. This is a 10-year contract. Guaranteed, you're going to get back your original $300,000. So think of those three, Aaron.
I like how many times you said guaranteed. I like that.
Well, yeah, okay, why did you like that, though? What did it really
Because I don't want to lose any money.
Okay.
I'm 42 and I don't want to lose any money.
Okay.
You know what I mean? That's my personality. I don't want to lose anything, honestly.
You remind me of my wife. I know she had a little bit of money to invest, and she said, Tony, I want to talk to you about investments. And I'm sitting there having a cup of coffee. I said, fire away. And she said, no, I'm coming to your office. I said, what? She said, treat me like a client.
Yeah.
So she comes to the office. This was hilarious, Aaron. We sit down, I get the whiteboard out, I start talking to her kind of like this, showing her different ideas, bonuses, stock market, interest. And she looked at me and she said, all I know is this, Tony. If I give you this money and you lose any of it, you're a dead man.
That's right. That's right.
So you talk about the ultimate saver. So my point is, folks, it's just what Aaron said. You have to know thyself. If you're somebody that's scared to death to jump on the back of a motorcycle with your uncle and blaze down the road at 80 miles an hour, probably don't need to get on a motorcycle. If you're somebody that's scared to go, what did that one German fella do in 238 miles? I mean, yeah, again, remember on that Audubon Parkway, folks, you can go any speed you want. So if you're afraid to get in the left-hand lane, don't do it. Same way with your money. If you want to follow certain financial laws, have certain order, and have a firm that's in place that's done this. I've done this over 38 years, folks. I've literally met in person with over 15,000 savers. I have personally orchestrated with my now, 17 full-time employees at Tony Walker Financial, over 5,000 written game plans. These are actually written game plans. So if you're looking for somebody that's experienced enough to get behind the wheel and drive you home safely to a worry-free retirement, why in the world do we not talk? And best of all, it's easy to do. It's absolutely free, and we have made this so easy. It's called the free 10-minute fiduciary phone call. And here's how this works. You can do it in one of two ways. To arrange your free phone call, just log on to TonyWalkerFinancial.com, TonyWalkerFinancial.com. You're going to click on that Let's Get Started button, and then we will arrange a phone call with myself. That's right, the owner of the company will talk to you about your situation. The second way you do it, if you say, I don't want to get on the internet, well, just give us a call. 877-499-9255. That's 877-WALK. 877-499-WALK. And then what will happen is we'll have a phone call. If it warrants, I will meet with you in person, or one of our highly trained salaried fiduciaries will meet you in person at either our Bowling Green, Louisville, or Lexington, Kentucky offices. So log on now, TonyWalkerFinancial.com, or give us a call at 877-499-WALK. Well, believe it or not, we're actually not finished with the Law and Order series. We got one more show to do on this. It's going to be, as Shannon Ross says,
humdinger.
So between now and then, you remember though, if all else fails, you be worry-free and make it a good one.